I think seeing that, if I had taken a little more care, maybe worked a little bit harder. Good afternoon, beautiful people. All right, today is the day. I have been putting off this project for, I don't even know how long. How long has it been since we harvested our corn? I was gonna try doing silage or something out of this corn, and I just haven't had a minute. So, what I'm gonna do today, because we need the bed, it is October 12th or something like that right now. We need to get our garlic in the ground. We'd ordered garlic, it finally showed up last week. I need a spot to put it, and the plan was I was gonna stick it out here. So, I'm gonna come through here, I'm gonna chop all of the stalks, bundle them together, make shocks out of them, and I'm gonna stash them over at the barn somewhere. And I've given some of this to the cow, and she'll pick everything off the stalks and she'll eat it. Not very well because she's got grass right now. But here in a couple months, grass is all gonna be dormant. So we'll see. You know, I don't really have enough to where it's like days of food, but if I could, you know, offset cow feed by a day, that'd be cool. Eventually, one way or another, it'll get turned into compost, either directly turned into compost or ran through a cow first before it becomes compost. We'll compost it. All right, all that to say, this pile has gotten absolutely out of control. The weeds are working on reclaiming. And I figure while I'm over here, a lot of you might remember I planted a row of potatoes in here. Well, they have been overrun with weeds. I had mulched them, like there is straw down, but at some point the grass made it through the straw and just took off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get in here, I'm gonna pull everything out of this bed, like corn, and then I'm gonna dig one of these potato plants to see if they're ready. If you guys remember, I planted these potatoes just kind of as a, I don't know, a last ditch effort. It's a little late to plant potatoes when I planted them. And I even said that. It was like, you know, I don't know if they're gonna do all right, but it's worth a shot. We might be able to get a really late harvest. So that's something else we're gonna see if we can get done today. But first, the corn. I noticed we did miss a few ears. I came through here the other day. I've been looking at this pile going, yeah, it's time to deal with this corn. I don't know how we missed this one, but let me open that, see if I can open that with one hand. It's a little scraggly, but there's some decent corn on there. So as I'm pulling all this stuff out, I'll go through, I'll see what corn we missed. It's probably 1 or 2 ears, but it's better than nothing. All right, I'm gonna quit yakking. I think I'll go grab a wagon to throw all this stuff in and get to work. I'll take that as a yes, she'll eat it. Because I know some people are going to ask, that is a rice knife. I get these from my friend Billy over at Permapastures Farm. They sell these. It's kind of funny. It's like a weird full circle kind of thing. While we were on the road traveling, we stayed with some friends up in Idaho, Willow Creek Homestead, and they were chopping weeds or doing something, and I had left this in the toolbox that was on the back of the RV. I had 1 or 2 of them from way back when I was like 17, 18. I did landscape installation for a few summers, and so we used these to cut sod. We called them sod knives. It's a rice knife. Well, I held on to mine and they just kind of kicked around. I never really used them too much. Well, when we were out there visiting, I broke mine out because I knew it was buried at the bottom of the toolbox, and they were like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's a grass knife." They're like, "That's so cool. Where do you get them?" I was like, "I have no idea." Well, anyways, I ended up giving my last one to Trish over at Willow Creek, and we got here and it was like, man, it would kind of be cool if I got another sod knife. Well, we went up and we're visiting Billy, and he gave me a couple of them, and it was like, no kidding. That's kind of cool. These suckers are mean. Don't slip, but these will cut just about anything you've got in the garden. Just one quick swipe and cuts everything. All right, now that all the corn is picked up, for garlic, I think I'm only gonna need one row. I gotta count how much we have. I'm just gonna till up one row and then deep mulch it just like I did last year over there in one of those beds. The deeper the mulch, the better, because it protects all the garlic. But first, I think I'm gonna get in here. I'm gonna dig up one of these potatoes. I wanna see if they're ready yet. This one looks like, for the most part, it's done. So I'll dig this one up. Well, that doesn't look too promising. All right, so that memory card filled up. I don't know when. That first plant I dug up only had 2 tiny spuds. So I'm gonna dig up one more, and if it's the same, if it's a couple teeny tiny spuds, I don't know. I'll talk to Meg. We will either dig these up today, tomorrow, whenever. I might turn the kids loose, or we'll just wait till our first frost, and that'll kill a lot of the grass and it'll kill the tops. But it's easier to find them when there's green still attached to them. For whatever reason, these potatoes did better in this spot than any potatoes we have grown. No disease, no pests. I don't know if it's because they were planted so late. That's probably what it was. We avoided all the pest pressure. But if they're that small, then that answers that question. It means they don't have enough time or the weather to get as big as they need to get. So I'm gonna dig up one more and we'll see. We'll see if it's worth planting your potatoes in, gosh, what was that, August? Into July? It was late. We'll see. This was just an experiment. We had some sprouted russets in the kitchen. I was like, hey, rather than throwing them out, why don't we plant them, see what happens? What are we gonna lose? We're either gonna get more potatoes out of it or we're not. All right, I'm gonna dig this up and have a gander. Couple more pretty small ones. That one was right on the surface. I didn't come back and mound these like I had planned. By the time it was time to come back and mound everything, the weeds had just gotten out of control. And so I didn't want to weed just so I could mound. So I just left them. But I think seeing that, if I had taken a little more care and maybe worked a little bit harder, we probably could be getting fall potatoes. That's really cool. All right, I'm gonna take these 5 little snack potatoes, take them in and show Meg and see what she says. I told the people I'd bring these in and show you.
Oh, nice. Those aren't awful.
They aren't awful.
I mean, that's a good sized one.
So do you remember exactly when we planted these? Was it the end of July or was it in August?
I think we have a video somewhere.
I think we do have a video. So they're all small, but each plant had about 2, 3. Okay. I left the rest. I didn't know if we should dig them now or just let them go until we absolutely lose them to frost.
I don't know.
Let's leave them.
Okay.
Let's see how absolutely big they can get before they're completely done.
They've only got another week or 2 anyway.
I know.
Frost is coming.
Last night, it felt like it was going to frost down here, and we got close. We're getting to the low 40s. Just a couple more degrees and we'll get a frost.
Yeah. Alright, we'll see.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Potatoes are one of my favorite things to grow. I think while I'm over here, I'm actually going to sneak that fork over to the sweet potato bed. I want to see.
Okay.
I've been digging around in the beds over by the barn, and I've found some pretty decent sized sweet potatoes, so I'm curious how they did out here in the dirt.
Yeah.
Of course, neighbor wants to fire up the chainsaw while I'm out here doing this, but it's okay. It's the song of my people. All right, like I said, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to stick a pitchfork in the ground right here. I'm going to check and see if we have any sweet potatoes in this bed. This is all an experiment. We are playing with the idea of growing animal feed. That's what this whole bed was about. The cucuzzis, the sweet potatoes. There was even some potatoes in there. I dug those up. Those didn't do very good because the sweet potatoes outcompeted them. I underestimated the vigorous growth of sweet potatoes. All right, I'm going to go grab the pitchfork. Nothing. Oh, I spoke too soon. They're deep. All right. Bunch of teeny tiny little ones. All right, I don't know if you can see that real well. There is a whole bunch of them, but they're all tiny. It's all right. Like if these were for our consumption, I'd be a little bit more upset. The ones in the beds are really, that's for us. This is for animals. So honestly, that's easier to divide up and feed to animals. Mind you, it's not a whole lot. Let me finish digging up this one. Munchie, come be my cameraman. See, that's actually the neighbor. That's the neighboring sweet potato.
Those ones are long.
See, we could eat these. Wow. All right, so we can eat the longer ones. Just cook them up like you're cooking a carrot. Something I did this year with these, if I saw a vine really like reaching, I would come over and bury the vine. I wanted to see what would happen. And so that's what this is over here. If you look, this was a vine that went this way. It's actually kind of the way this one is. And everywhere the vine touches, those roots get in the ground and start filling out. So we have a whole bunch of little finger sweet potatoes. I'm not real upset about that. That's a lot from just one plant. 2 years ago, we got single sweet potatoes that were, you know, that big. Looks like this year we're gonna get a whole bunch of like little fingers, which we can eat them, animals can eat them, so it's all good. All right, so that's a pretty good haul, but I'm getting way sidetracked here. Came out here to prep a bed for garlic, so that's what I'm gonna get back to. All right, so I would just like to pat myself on the back here. This is all my compost. Like, I can't believe that I get to put my compost and I have more than enough for this garlic bed. Like, that's really cool. I guess kind of turn that around a little bit so it's not so much a pat on my back, but maybe an encouragement to you guys. You can make compost with your chickens. You can use whatever you've got, grass clippings, weeds from the garden. There's a David the Good shirt that I need to get that says compost your enemies. Yeah, pull up all those weeds, turn them into beautiful garden soil, and put them back in your garden. This is the best garden soil you can get because it's got your local soil biology and you're putting it in concentrated fashion on your garden. All right, so as you can probably tell by the light, the sun is starting to go down. I've got to go in there and get cleaned up and eat dinner so we can go do karate tonight. So I guess tomorrow I'll get out here first thing and I'll plant the garlic. I think what I'm gonna do, I've got all that hay that was pretty much ruined, all the stuff, our old hay that it just got too wet and was composting in place. I would really like to use the straw on this. So I think what I'll do is I'll get the straw after we plant. I can put the straw down, and then I'm gonna go get wood chips because I've got wood chips, and I'm gonna put that on top as well. Every little advantage we can get for the garlic over the winter. I'm gonna take everything in and get cleaned up. It's kind of all over the place. I feel like I squirreled out over here. I dug potatoes, dug sweet potatoes, pulled up all the corn. I just took that whole wagon load of corn, since I'm not gonna have time to shock it and store it. I just took it and put it in the greenhouse for now. It'll be safe, it won't get rained on, and it can dry out a little bit more in there. So, yeah, it's all good. Alrighty, I guess I'll catch you guys on the next one.